Good afternoon. This is your host, John, of the Research Review, creating a platform to connect and to inspire. I'm here with another excellent guest today, Olivia.
Hi.
Welcome on the show. It's awesome having you. Why don't you give us a quick rundown of yourself and your research?
So I'm a second-year student at Kent. I'm trying to think about how to best describe my research. It was a combination of education, but also using like the environment. So I studied how kids learn outside versus inside, and I did that by looking at their retention levels, which I figured out through I gave them quizzes, and it was really, really fun, and it was nice to be able to combine my love for spending time outside and also educating kids.
Of course, yeah. Now, what do you think was your favorite part about that?
Probably the outdoor part and taking them on like the 10-minute hike that we went on to get to like the study spot.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, they
Study
loved
spot.
it. Yeah, they loved it. So it was really, really cool. And it's fun to see kids like interact with nature.
Yeah.
Like we found, I think it was deer antlers or a skull. I can't remember. But we found something, and like seeing like kids' reactions to like bones is like the funniest thing.
When I was a child, and I grew up in Cleveland, we have the Cleveland Metro Parks. One of my favorite activities to do growing up was going through the Cleveland Metro Parks, exploring, especially going off trail. And the stuff that we would find was crazy. And I remember that was some of the highlights of my hiking trips was seeing those types of things.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't planned because it is a church camp.
Mm-hmm.
So like finding, like the dead animals is never like high on the to-do list, but I created the trail. We actually ended up getting lost on the trail because I did not make it very well. So we got lost on the trail, and then we like had to find a shortcut back. So I didn't realize that the skull was there or the antlers, whatever it was. So
Yeah.
that was like a nice little bonus to the whole experience.
It
for
was
them.
the cherry on top.
Yeah, it was. Let me tell you, those kids are like, I think 15 of them, and they were insane. They lost. Yeah.
They have a lot of energy typically.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
especially because it's like summer camp, and that was definitely one of the issues because these kids are not there to learn.
Right.
They were there to have fun. And so like being like, hey guys, we're going to go take a test. It's summertime, but get over that. I mean, they had to get over that, but I mean, it was fun.
So they weren't really expecting that, but you introduced it to them.
Yeah.
Did they end up having? Did they end up enjoying it? Do you think, long term?
Yeah, I think they did. There was a questionnaire that we gave after like the indoor lesson about like which one did they like better, why, like did you like how the information was presented, and they loved the outdoor lesson. I think they just liked it because it was a change of pace from like what you normally do in school.
Typical school.
Yeah, but they liked it, especially like like you can tell like the kids that are like know-it-alls in school and like the smart kids, they loved it. I know that if I was a camper and that happened, I would love it too. Plus when you go to camp, you kind of know that you're going to have to do some educational stuff, so they
Right.
didn't have to do like nature education, they did social studies education.
Yeah,
So,
fun stuff.
yeah, it was cool.
I think kids kind of cringe at the idea of school because not because they don't like to learn, but just because of the way that it's taught. I think they like being in an outdoor environment a lot more.
That's where like my research started because I didn't like school a lot when I was growing up because it had to be inside. And like
Yes.
I remember wanting to go outside when I was young. I have this vivid memory of when I was in 3rd grade. I remember like staring outside, and it was like the first nice day, and we were learning math inside, and I've just never been so angry. Like 3rd grade me was like so pent up with the anger that I was inside and
Yeah.
the lights were off and it was sunshiny outside, and they made me sit inside while everything was blossoming. I was just like so angry. And I think that like if given the chance, I would love math if we would have done it outside.
Yeah.
And I would have a way greater appreciation for science as a whole if we could have done interactive learning rather than sitting in a classroom.
Yeah.
So like that's where this came from. Also, working at the summer camp gave me like, free access to kids.
Do you like working with kids?
Yeah. Over adults or kids, I choose kids. I don't necessarily like love kids. Like I wouldn't, hang out with them like for funsies, but like for work, yeah.
Right.
Plus it's cool to be able to be the person that like that you looked up to. So like I grew up going to this camp, and I remember like all the summer staff members and my counselors, like I remember them, and they impacted my life so much. I don't think that I'd be into research or into the environment like I am today without them.
Right.
And so to be like that kind of person for other people, that makes me very happy. And to like be able to be a mentor, like Amy, being able to be someone's Amy means the world to me.
Right.
So
That's fantastic. Guest Haley Dees came on the podcast last week, and a big piece of advice she shared was, she said, be the person, the role model that your 10-year-old self would look up to. That stuck with me, and I think that's definitely something that you're doing right now. So 2 claps for that. So I have a job this summer where I'm going to be working with kids over in the Children's Hospital. I've been a kid before, and I've been friends with kids before, but what advice would you give to me to be better with kids?
I would tell you to treat them like people before you treat them like kids. Like, kids won't respect you. Like, that now there's, like, a solid boundary between that. Like, you can't treat them like you would your friend.
Right.
But, like, not talking down to them. Don't do baby talk. Like, talk to them like you would a normal human being. Like, you're an RA on campus, talk to them like you would talk to your resident. Just, like, acknowledge the fact that they are a person who deserves respect, and just because they're a kid doesn't mean they need to be demeaned for it. You know what I mean?
I know exactly
like,
what you mean.
I don't know. Kids also want respect, just like you want respect. And you also have to know that, like, they're going to say mean things sometimes, and they don't realize it's mean. Like, a little side story. I was a counselor, and we played this game, and they were, like, little facts about me. And they had to, like, figure out who, like, the facts were about. And so I was giving out the fact that, like, the person likes to run. And this kid looks at me and goes, oh, she couldn't be Waldo. Because it was, who's Waldo? She couldn't be Waldo. She's too fat. Okay, the kid didn't understand that was wrong. He's like 8 years old. Should he have known? Yeah. But kids don't know that they're going to be mean. So you also have to keep that in mind that, like, they're kind of stupid a lot of the time. They have no real world experience. The only adults they've probably interacted with are their teachers, probably their doctors in your situation, and their parents or guardians. Like, so you also have to keep that in mind that, like, they don't have social skills. And you're providing that for them. And also being able to hand it back to them is so important. Because, like, if they're going to be mean, you should probably be a little mean back. Right. It makes you laugh a little. Yeah. And it makes them feel like you're equals. So, No,
I think it's a really good piece of advice. Because, like I said, I've been a kid before. And when I look back...
Shocking.
Yeah. Well, I didn't come down from outer space one day. I wish.
Really?
Yeah.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
What planet?
I was going to say Jupiter, but girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Do you remember that from 3rd grade?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Mars.
I said that when I was a kid, yeah.
When you were a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
I never had to experience that.
That's
funny.
Right, yeah. I kind of think we're a little bit more clever down here.
Yeah.
Guys go to Earth to get...
Girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Guys go to college to get more knowledge.
Yes, exactly.
Except it's not looking like... I think the roles should be reversed then.
Let's get to Mars first.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we'll figure the rest out. But I remember some of the biggest role models, that I looked up to when I was a kid, and the people that I felt most comfortable with were those who, treated me on the same level. I always like to be treated as if I was more mature than I actually was, because it made me feel like that. Even now in college, I like it when we're doing research and professors give us our own control over a project and such like that. Amy's done a really good job with that, and it gives us a good opportunity to safely fail.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Amy has provided such a safety net with that, because, like, whenever I feel like I messed up or I failed, she can just turn it into, like, a success. Yeah. Like, I remember, like, I messed up something, like, with the data, and she was like, that's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it out. And she helped me fix it. Like, genuinely. She makes everything feel so much safer because you can fail with success. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Working with her is definitely, like, the highlight, you know?
For those who don't know, both of our mentor is Dr. Amy Ward.
Yeah.
And we've worked with her throughout the SURE program.
And she works in the geography department over in McGilvery. So if you're listening and you want to take one of her classes,
do it.
You should take Nature and Society. She teaches that, and she also teaches environmental studies and sustainability, and that's a 10 out of 10 class with her.
And research methods.
I haven't
taken it yet, but I love research
and
methods.
The medical geography.
Oh yeah, that's something kind of new that she's brought up, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a really cool class. I want to take it.
Because she has a bit of an interesting background within public health and then working within the geography department.
Yeah. She's definitely had a cool life, like living in New Zealand, French husband. She's been everywhere.
I know. And it's so cool listening to like her whole career path that she's talked about. But yeah, working with her has really helped boost my confidence, because having her put that trust in us to make those own decisions, especially jumping into the research process, because it's so intimidating and you don't think you're necessarily capable of making those decisions.
Yeah.
But someone as smart as her is putting that trust into your hands and letting you know that they're there to back you up in case anything fails, and then shows you that you are capable of making things like that. And if something goes wrong, then you're also capable of fixing it and like turning it into a success.
Yeah, and like she's just so positive, and I think that really helps too. Like I was like, I also like remember thinking like, oh, my research isn't really like that important, you know, because I don't know, people are doing things with like science, like hard science. I'm doing like social science, and it's like, I don't know, it felt really iffy. And then she was like, Olivia, this is so important. She like kind of made fun of me for thinking that it wasn't important. And it was just like, you're right. Even if it's like your successes aren't like that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, she makes sure that you know that like, right now that is the biggest deal. And she like celebrates with you and for you.
Yes.
She's just like, I don't know, she's the best role model.
In the big moments and little moments. Yeah, that's what a real mentor's there for.
Yeah.
It's been an honor working with her for sure. We nominated her for a faculty award.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so fingers
And so
crossed.
she better win.
She better.
She deserves it.
Yeah.
Through and through. And if you're listening, she deserves it.
She does.
Done deal.
We're going to get her on the podcast. Hopefully the three of us can come on for an episode, because now we have 4 microphones in here, so we can have up to 4 guests. Wow. It is awesome. But you brought up the point about how you thought, you know, your work wasn't as important being the social sciences as it was compared to hard sciences. All research in all disciplines is equally as valuable. And it may be used for different things, but the work itself is equally as valuable. A lot of people, I think, outside of the research circle don't see it that way.
Yeah.
Have you kind of experienced that?
Yeah. Like, when I first started trying to explain my research to my friends last year, it was kind of like they didn't really get it because it didn't seem like research. It just seemed like some common knowledge. Like, yeah, kids probably do better outside than they do inside. It's kind of stupid. And I was like, I just sat there like, oh, okay, that's fine. But I realized, like, you can't make claims without having the knowledge. So, like, and you have to be able to have statistics. So, like, even if it's, like, straight up, like, this is what it is and this is my hypothesis and I know that it's right, you have to do the research for it. And also, like, it took me a while to be able to, like, fully accept it, but I'm never going to be the person that likes biology with peace and love, or chemistry, really physics as well. But I am going to be the person that likes working with kids and looking at how they learn. And I also have realized that kids get a raw deal, okay? They aren't advocated for, really. They're looked at as stupid, you know? Like,
they're not.
They're so smart.
Yeah.
But, like, what they want to do is always, like, thrown out the window. Like, nobody really cares. I know, like, you're thinking, like, oh, they're advocates for kids, but not for, like, their education most of the time. Like, we look at our education system and we know it's screwed up.
Yes.
And there are simple fixes that we could do, like outdoor education, that provides so much for kids. And being able to have this research shows it's true, and that I'm not just making claims.
Right.
And, like, there's been so much research prior to this about, like, the importance of environmental advocacy in education, but, like, not a lot about outdoor education and just moving the classroom outside rather than, like, shaping it around the environment. Right. Just, if you're going to read Jane Eyre and talk about Jane Eyre, do it outside. Like, if you can do something outside, do it outside.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be contained into a 4-walled space, you know? Research helps that, so yeah.
Definitely. And like you mentioned, gathering the data and statistics to prove that it's effective. Important thing about research is there's people that build the buildings, but then there's people that make the blocks.
Yeah.
You can't build the buildings without first making new blocks.
Yeah.
So in order to build that new education system, you need to have the data and the statistics that prove that a certain implement is effective.
I agree. And the building block, that's a good explanation.
Yeah.
I like that.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think is the what would you say is the end goal of your project?
right now, Amy and I are working on getting it published, and we're working on the article right now. I just finished the lit review, like a little bit ago, which was like the most reading I've ever done, ever.
I know.
Like, yeah, so we're working on that. And then also I'm presenting at the undergraduate research symposium for the SURE program, but
Yeah.
I'm also going to submit my thing for the Environmental Research and Design Institute, their like symposium that
When's
they're having.
that at?
It's April 13th and 14th, I think.
Is that after the undergrad symposium?
It's before.
It's before?
Yeah, because the undergraduate symposium is the 18th. And the other one is like right before, but they said that I can use the same poster and things.
Where's it at? Where's
Downtown.
Oh, okay. Downtown Kent?
Yeah, it's
Sweet.
the at like the conference center that they have.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
And they have like some speakers coming. It's the Environmental Science and Design Research Institute, and their symposium is the Environmental Justice, Ecology, and Race. That's their theme, and they have so many people coming. It's like, and you just have to register, but they have like the coolest people coming for it, and it's like, I think it's so important for like today, like to be talking about it, because I feel like environmental racism has really gone like under the radar for so long that a university like Kent talking about it, I feel like it just like, that's really cool.
Describe what environmental racism is for people who don't know.
I'm going to use an example because I'm really bad at explaining it. So like redlining.
What's redlining? I don't know.
Okay, so in the early 1900s, black communities were redlined. So like they drew lines around a city. I'll show you a picture of it.
Okay.
They drew lines around a city and marked them with literal red lines, okay? And those like inside of those areas were those houses. I think it was like they wouldn't require a loan. Then that's why like you see all these black communities in poorer neighborhoods, and like they're in the same town as the rich white neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They're sometimes separated by like the train tracks,
Right.
or like a river, maybe something that like physically separates them.
Interesting.
And it still happens today, and it's
But there's just no physical lines drawn.
no, it's like on like actual maps. Like this is redlining. So these red lines, that's where black communities are. And I guarantee that in these areas, there are lead pipes, lead paint, no green spaces. They probably have a poor education system where it's not fully funded because it's based on taxes. They're fully marginalized. And then like the other places are where white communities were able to get loans from banks, and they were able to buy houses in better neighborhoods, raising market values and further showing, like the idea of like how white people have had like such a like head start on life because slavery didn't end until like the mid 1800s.
Right.
And then like they had sharecropping and like all of these things. Well, this is just another thing to push black people back and pushing them away from black excellence.
Wow.
That's what redlining is. It's horrible, but that's an example of environmental racism because you're using the environment to be racist.
Yes.
And like you're keeping them also from nature. And like they live in poor structured things, so then they have to like constantly repair it, and like they never get out of this generational it's not wealth, it's the opposite, like trauma. It's horrible.
Right.
It's deplorable even.
Yeah, it's been a long-term generational problem. People have a hard time getting out of the cycle of their family.
Yep.
And what you're provided in your environment is a really crucial determinant of who you're going to be when you grow up. There's this whole debate of nature versus nurture, and I think the biggest influence is nurture. Because if you take siblings, for example, and you put them in two different environments, their outcomes later in life are going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Completely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's insane, and that's where like the whole like education thing comes into play, because like if you're not given a good education, a proper education, then you start seeing like the pipeline from graduation to prison.
Right.
Or before graduation, because they don't have good education systems. So like, and that's the other important thing about being in nature, being able to learn in nature. Also, like it's scientifically proven that it helps with retention levels. It helps like with kids who have ADHD.
Yes.
It helps with having a calmer mindset, having like better focus, better everything really, because that's what that's what the color green does, but also being in nature, being able to feel the wind on your face, being able to feel the sun. There are so many added benefits to having green spaces around. And like that's what makes the idea of outdoor classrooms so hard to reach, because the inner city schools don't have access to parks. The fact that Cleveland has that access,
The Cleveland Metro Parks, yeah.
That's insane, because like where I grew up, we had outside, we had cornfields.
Where are you from?
Bellefontaine, Ohio.
Bellefontaine, Ohio.
Yeah.
I've never heard.
It's the highest point in Ohio. We have the first concrete street in America. Used to be the shortest. I don't know why not anymore, but it used to be. But we didn't really have, like, we have a few parks, but not like hiking trails. Like the furthest you could get, like you'd have to go to Myra, which is only like a 15-minute drive from where I live, which isn't bad. And there's also Kirkmont, which is the camp I worked at, which is also like 15-20 minutes away. But like I'm lucky in that sense. But like there are other communities who don't have any of that near them.
Right.
And so the idea of outdoor education is even further from them. So being able to have school systems be able to have it part of their curriculum and mandatory, like that's mind-blowing. That would be so amazing for so many kids, for so many benefits. And it would also help with climate change. There are just like so many benefits.
Yeah.
I just wish that it would be implemented.
I definitely agree. You know, like you said, not only is it going to help kids enjoy the learning process being outside, but also growing up with an appreciation of nature really brings awareness into why climate issues are so important. You know, having those Cleveland Metro Parks, I think, was such a crucial role in my development and who I am now. I was a big runner as a kid. Well, I had a interesting athletic background. I used to be like over 200 pounds, and like I was a lineman, like on the football team. And eventually I got really into fitness and really into running, and I would run. I ran an ultra marathon at the end of my senior year of high school, but all of that training was all through the metro parks, and all through the woods, all through these like nature reservations and everything like that. Yeah, I would just spend like hours just running through the trails and everything, and that's been some of the most like valuable experiences I think in like my whole life. Yeah, and it's really what convinced me to care for the climate. Is we really need to protect that. I mean, it's a shame that a lot of people don't grow up appreciating it or experiencing it. And you bring up an interesting point that like there are people who don't experience it. Another important like thing to consider is that if we don't help the climate and we don't help the earth, then future generations will have no chance of experiencing it. Yes. That is awful. Like, I can't even imagine, like, kids not experiencing what I experienced, which was really the bare minimum of nature. I would spend, like, a week or two out at a camp and, you know, like, no phones. Like, and the food made Eastway food look, let me tell you, divine. Michelin 5-star restaurant right here. But being able to connect with nature and also those friendships, right? And like you build that kind of stuff together. It's just like all of those like little things, just like, I don't know, they're so helpful and they make you really appreciate things a lot. Yeah. For some reason, conversations outdoors are always so much better, and I never understood why. Just like taking a walk through the woods, or whatever. I would never recommend it as a first date. But a date, it could be a little risky. Yeah, that's a little risky. But like a date going on a hike, perfect. Yeah. Again, not a first date. They could push you off a cliff or something. Yes. But like first walk in a populated area. Yeah, cities even. You know, maybe have your friends stalk you a little bit. But there's something about the bond that's created when you're hiking that's just like so unreal. I love it. Yeah. Now, what kind of impact can your work have, and who will benefit from it overall? I think the impact would be like, you know, changing school systems, or at least maybe curriculum, or maybe even if it does neither of that, maybe it opens the eyes for teachers. Because like the other thing I haven't touched on is teachers also benefit from this. This is a full circle, everyone benefits from it kind of thing. Like
if like we can't change like the overall system, which would be so far away from now, at least like the teachers and kids would benefit from it if they could just implement it every once in a while. If, like, you know, when there's like a really nice day, take your kids outside. Like I remember last year, it was like the first nice day of spring. You know, it'd been nasty all winter. Last winter especially was disgusting. And I looked at my professor and I was like, yo, Ed, can we go outside? And he's like, yeah. So we had an outside class in college. If we can do that. And I think the other thing that's important to note is they did this during COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of schools, they taught their classes outside so they didn't have to wear their masks. If they can do that during COVID, I think they could do it now. So like, there are just so many little benefits from it. And I also think it would benefit the parents. I think that this is a full circle benefit.
I think so.
Because you get your kids to go outside.
Yeah.
And like after you spend some time outside, even if it's just sitting, you're like tired.
Right.
You send those kids home tired, their parents can just put them right to bed. Benefit.
I know. It's like they'll come home from school and then they become like all rambunctious because they've been sitting down all day. And they want to get out. They want to run around and all that kind of stuff. For sure. And what are your plans for the future, both with this project and for yourself personally?
Okay, well, for the project, I'm hoping to get my research published. And then...
I know you said you were working on a lit review, right?
Yeah.
A lot of reading.
Oh my God, it's so much. When Amy said she wanted like 20, I was like, there's no way I'm going to use 20 sources. And now I think I'm at like a ridiculous amount. I'm at 21 and I'm not like even done yet. Like... It's insane.
It's hard because there's so much out there. It's like so overwhelming, and you think like you should read it all. And it's hard to come across this and be like, I should read this and include this. But it's like, is that really practical?
Yeah.
When I had the interview they asked me, what have you learned from the research process, and what would you do differently next time? And I said I will definitely be a lot more organized with my lit review. And be more selective with my lit review. And getting background research on new projects. Because you want to read it all, but you can't.
Yeah, that's the thing that I learned is that if you're going to be doing a lit review, what you need to do is like, what I did was I found like the general stuff. Like I found the best, like it was like compiled list of all the literature reviews from like the year 1980 to 2010 of outdoor education. So I found that and I read it. All of it, all 30 pages, and then I started writing my lit review. And when I had a question, I'd write the question and then like try to find an article based on that. And then like that's what I started doing. So I like had one really big one, and then I just started reading the abstracts of literally everything else. And like I'd search like a keyword, and then like I'd go down a rabbit hole. But like that was life-saving, because at first I was just like, you know, like reading article after article and I was getting so burnt out. But then I realized like, no, your abstracts and conclusions are there for you to skim. Like you don't have to read, especially the methods. I was reading the methods. Like what the heck was I doing?
Oh yeah, that's so draining too.
No, it is.
It's like you know it's when you first get into it, it's so hard to understand it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like it's so intimidating because like they're doing like, I don't know, big things, and I'm like, yeah, kids, what do you remember? Yeah. Like they're like over here like testing their brains and stuff like that. I was like, oh gosh.
I know.
So
it's wild.
Yeah, that's what I've learned from the lit review. But I do plan on, I want to get this published, and then I want to do the SURE program next summer. Well, this coming summer. And I want to look at how kids, like, their attitudes change in different environments, because I want to be able to build upon, like, not only do they benefit educationally, but, like, you know, their emotions change when they're, like, around green spaces. And I'm using Amy's kid, and I'm so excited for that, because I've heard
She's
many
so
stories.
Smart.
Yeah, I cannot wait. If that kid has never seen Phineas and Ferb.
Wait, really?
Amy didn't know what Phineas and Ferb was.
How?
I don't know.
Oh.
So her kid is going to need to watch it.
Yes.
But, yeah, so that's what I plan on doing for that. And then I want to go to grad school. And I don't really know where. I'm looking at Stanford right now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
I wanted to go to an Ivy, but with Peace and Love, they're stupid because they don't have a single, like, geography, like, program for masters. And, like, that's what I want to do. I want to do human geography. So, like, I don't know. I thought that was a little silly. So I'm looking at Stanford and Wisconsin-Madison and here because I love Kent.
Right.
And I don't know if I'd want to leave here, especially because, like, I have connections. I have Amy.
Yeah.
Like,
and she could be maybe your mentor, like, later on, too. Yeah.
And so, like, I love that. And, like, I would want to continue with, like, the education. I'd want to go into, like, really talking about race with education and race with the outdoors and like combine everything because like that's where like my passion started with environmentalism. It was environmental justice and environmental feminism. That's what started it. So like I'd like to like, I don't know, go back to my roots, you know?
I think that's really important. Yeah. And because especially with that redlining and stuff like that, that's something I wasn't exposed to.
Yeah.
And send me that article after this.
Okay.
Because I have a New York Times thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I gotta check it out.
Yeah, no, I didn't explain it very well. So just
I thought you explained it fine.
I promise I didn't. I like didn't hit like anything I was supposed to.
You explained it to the point where I got a basic understanding of
it's
it,
just,
which is what I need.
It's just like it's horrible, and like it still happens today. Like that's the disgusting part. It's illegal, but like you know, like
it still happens.
It's not actually legal because you know.
Yeah,
so.
there's a lot of things that have been pronounced as done with and illegal, but they still continue to happen. Yeah.
Or like there's a loophole for it.
There's always
so
many loopholes. Oh my gosh.
They like switch, not to bring it up, but like no big government and then like controlling every little thing and like all of that stuff too. Like so that also affects it. That goes into another thing, but that's ecofeminism. And like it's just so much. It's horrible. It's like no.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
I think you're going to do a great job progressing the field as well. Because there's lots that needs to be looked into.
Yeah.
And we need more passionate people on it. That's what it takes. Now, what have you learned, do you think, from the research process? And how has that benefited yourself personally?
I learned a lot about myself, truly like my beliefs. I really like submitted them into my core person. I never thought that I would be passionate about education. Teaching, okay, I could probably do it, but now like I didn't realize how important it is, which sounds so stupid because it's education and I like love school.
Yeah.
But it's so important and like people deserve to be advocated for. And like I now have like this newfound passion that combines with literally everything that I've been working towards my entire life. I truly feel like just took everything that I've had in the past 20 years and has just shoved it all together and then presented me with this opportunity. And now like I got to use it and now like I have a passion. I know that I want to go to grad school. I have Amy. I've met so many cool people like you. I've met this guy named Felix, who I think was on this.
Felix came on. He was my first episode in the new studio.
Yes. Yeah. So
Felix
like I've met so many cool people through this. Like
shout out Felix.
Yeah, shout out Felix.
Come back on the show. I know.
Research has just like it's expanded my brain in so many different and cool ways. Like I know so much. I can go about things in a very different way. I write my papers better because I've had to write the lit review. It's insane. I feel like this has benefited me in every aspect of my life. Like I communicate better.
Yeah.
I have so much more confidence. I can like confidently say like in job interviews, yeah, I've conducted my own research. Yeah, I was originally when I was 19. Yeah, I'm only 19. Like that impresses people. This is like the coolest opportunity. My life has been forever changed by this.
Right. Like you said, I've learned so much more about myself and improved on so much more skills within that 8-week period than I did all the way through high school.
Yes.
There is a clear line before and after starting research.
Yes.
And employers, they're really interested in what you learn from the research process.
Yeah.
Not necessarily your project, but what you learn from the research process. Because, it helps you communicate better. It helps me write better. I've noticed my thinking patterns are a lot different.
Yes.
And especially what sources that I listen to and what I see as a reliable information.
And it changes like the way like you question things.
Yes.
And like I feel like now I look at everything through the eyes of a researcher. Like I question everything now.
Yes.
Like
nothing's set into stone.
Nothing. It's like this is so cool and I'm only 20 now. So like
who knows
what I'm going to do in 20 years? Like this is what I did when I was 20. What am I going to do when I'm 40?
Yeah.
Like it's just so cool. And like that's where Amy comes in. She constantly proves that like you don't know what you're going to do. She studied like it wasn't exercise science, but it was
kinesiology.
Yes, she studied that and then she did public health and now she does geography and she was both our mentors and we didn't have we had like kind of similar research but really not at all. Like we just talked.
We're both in the social sciences.
Yeah, but like that's about it.
Yeah.
Like and that's just so cool because she's moved throughout life and like we can move throughout life. I just I don't know. Research is just like the coolest thing ever and I really like that it's applicable to everything.
Right. Totally.
Like education and it can help with teaching, and it can help with, which are two different things in my mind, and it can help with like your communication skills and presenting, and like I just learned how to do PowerPoint. Fun fact, I didn't know how to use PowerPoint. Amy was like, okay, you got to get like, your poster done. I just learned PowerPoint. That's one thing that I gained from this. I know how to use PowerPoint on my resume.
Yeah.
Talk about a bonus.
With LinkedIn Learning, as a Kent student, you get access to free LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah.
And they'll do like short courses on
Really?
teaching you how to do stuff like that. I recently took one on PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And now I have a little certification saying I'm certified in PowerPoint. Boom, I get to post it on my LinkedIn.
See,
now.
I love it. It's just so cool.
Yeah, learn how to use PowerPoint and all those kind of like Microsoft tools because
Yeah.
they help.
You don't think they would until you have to use them.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I had to store my data,
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't know how to use Excel. Like at all.
Yeah.
And I even put it on my resume, like, because I've used it before, and I was like, that's enough. It is not enough.
No.
No, because I don't know how to use it. So I'm still working on that part. But
I am too. It's an intimidating piece of software, but it makes the world go round for
Yeah,
sure.
it does.
It makes the world go
Yeah.
round. Well, Olivia, if you had one more piece of advice to share with the world, what would it be?
Oh my God, get outside, explore the world, and remember that nature is all around you, and it doesn't matter like if you're climbing mountains or just going outside. You should just do it all.
Yeah. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Go for a walk and enjoy a cup of tea.
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely. Well, Olivia, it's been great having you
Yeah.
on. Literally so awesome. Welcome back anytime, Olivia. Just shoot me a text and we'll get you back in the
All right,
studio.
cool, thanks.
Especially with Amy, too. Everyone
Yes.
stay tuned for that. She's going to be the first professor that we have on this show because, she's played a huge role in getting both of us to where we are at now. So big thank you to her. Shout out to her. Well, again, this is your host, John, of The Research Review, creating a platform to inspire. Peace out.